It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Forum here on Eagle Community Television. We record this program every Monday afternoon at our Dillon's location on Vine Street. Our program is brought to you by the great folks over at HaysMed. Speaking of HaysMed, we have a guy here who is the Chief Medical Officer at HaysMed. His name is Dr. Larry Wass. Larry, good to have you on our program.
Thank you, thank you.
One of the things we want to talk about, and it's one of the exciting news, HaysMed has exciting news kind of all the time. It's one thing, some of the new things have been developed. Right now, you have a new product, and it's robotic surgery. And I was telling you before, I've done enough reading on this, I can probably do robotic surgery. What do you think?
Maybe probably not. Yeah, probably not.
Tell us about robotic surgery. What does that actually mean? Is there a real robot that does that, or are there doctors that make it work?
Actually, it is a robot. It is controlled by the physician, the surgeon. The big thing about this is that it's versus laparoscopic surgery. A laparoscopic instrument is long and it's fixed, and so it's not ergodynamically easy to use. The learning curve is much longer. With the robot, it's like putting a laparoscopic instrument with a wrist on the end of it. And so the minutia, the tactile sensation is much more similar to your own hands, and therefore the learning curve is a lot faster.
So the idea is robotic surgery. Obviously, you have doctors that are going to do, say, a bladder surgery. Mm-hmm. Talk about that. And they would go in and you slice you open, they do the work, and then sew you back up. Kind of the simplistic way to look at it.
Right.
Why is robotic surgery better than the old-fashioned way, so to speak?
Well, if we again look at old-fashioned surgery, when people first started getting surgery, there was no anesthetic, and so oftentimes you didn't survive because of the pain. We developed anesthesia. The first anesthesia was ether, and it was better than nothing, but they had to improve on that. After anesthetic, it was antiseptic, which we realized that rather than washing your hands after the surgery, washing them before was much more productive and caused less infection. So the third kind of iteration on improving surgery is usually when you're operating on people, they're ill. And the bigger incision you make on an ill person, the less likely they are to recover. So the idea now is to make the incisions smaller and smaller, and you get back to your life faster and faster. So the robot helps us do that.
Now, one of the things I noted when I was reading some of the material is that the hope on some of this is there's not even an overnight stay on some surgeries, where before you may have a night or two in the hospital following surgery. This is a much quicker recovery time and gets you back home faster just as well.
Correct. I mean, probably the biggest decision we made to go with the robotic is for radical prostatectomy, the removal of a prostate with prostate cancer in men. Prior to the robot, it was 5-6 day length of stay in the hospital, a big incision, and a long recovery. Now, if you are getting a prostate removed, most likely it's being done through the robot. The recovery time is much faster. So if we're going to offer that service, radical prostatectomy in Western Kansas, we really needed to have a robot in order to do that.
Yeah, as Chief Medical Officer, obviously you play a big role in what technologies that you can bring, and frankly, what technologies are affordable and practical for Western Kansas. How did this fit into some of the other things that are going on out at the hospital?
Well, it is a big capital expense, upfront capital expense. And for that reason, it had to be thought about for a long time. Again, I think the ultimate decision was when we went out to our other critical access hospitals, the 24 critical access hospitals, the thing we heard over and over again was we need more urology. Urology basically on the ideas of the bladder surgery or the prostate surgery. We weren't going to recruit new urologists unless we had the robot, because to be frank, that was the only way they were being trained anymore, was using the robot. So without the robot, as our urologists retired, there wasn't going to be young urologic surgeons following them. So that was kind of the final impetus that we said, yes, we need to go out and we need to get a robot for the people of Western Kansas.
Well, I know when you mention a lot of dollars involved, I know the board's involved, the foundation's involved to get this in place, and frankly that makes a great opportunity for patients in Western Kansas to be able to have that top-notch facility. Training, though, you mentioned, It's not as simple as just bringing the robot in, setting it in the room, nice room and all that without the training. What goes into training physicians, training the staff, training the whole team to make that work?
It's just that. It is a team approach. And it starts out basically with, for the surgeon, something as simple as using a simulator, much like you would if you were going to learn to fly a plane, and simulating the movements that you're going to use when you're doing robotic surgery. So the first thing a robotic surgeon does with the simulator is literally pick up tacks and drop them into a cup. And then they proceed to the point where they're simulating throwing surgical knots with the robot. And so there is a process, many hours involved with the simulator before they go away and they actually do a pig lab. They operate on a pig and basically do some of the similar surgeries that they would do in their practice on the pig. And then they come back shortly after that and with a proctor, someone who's done a lot of cases and has full privileges at another hospital, a proctor comes in and observes their skill set, basically.
Boy, and the team probably that same process, those
Same
that
process.
are assisting with
Yeah.
them.
It is one team right now. As we get more and more physicians involved, we'll probably have to train another. But again, they went away, they were trained, they've come back, and they're exclusively working. We basically have a robotic scrub team.
One of the things you just mentioned was tying a knot, and you think it has to be a very finely tuned instrument or a robot, you're saying, to be able to do things inside, but you think about what it takes to actually tie a knot using a robotic type device to make that happen.
Right. Well, again,
That's precision.
It is, but most of our surgeons were already operating through a laparoscope, and believe it or not, using the robot it's easier to tie a knot because of the wrist-like movements at the end of the robot that weren't there with the laparoscopic instruments.
You mentioned in the article, and I've seen several articles, the Vinci product. How does that fit in? Is that the robot itself, or is that the process that goes into this?
Well, it's kind of the Vinci. It does make the robot. They also make the hood that the physician's looking through. And they make all the instruments, surgical instruments that go along with the robotic surgery. So it's more than just the robot. It's kind of like it's not just buying an airplane engine, it's buying the whole airplane, basically.
The system that goes along with that.
Correct.
Now, what will this system work on? Does it work on all body parts, or are you mainly focusing on urology to start with?
No, actually, right now we have urologic surgeons being trained, we have gynecologic surgeons being trained, and we have general surgeons being trained. So ultimately, almost any surgery that's done can ultimately be done robotically.
And the same thing applies, so insurance covers, everything works the same way that the regular surgery would do, except it's a quicker recovery time.
Correct. For a lot of surgeries, what they're looking at is a faster recovery time, and as long as that can be accomplished, whether it's the robot or laparoscopically, the insurance companies look at it basically the same.
That's exciting news. We're going to find out when we come back a little bit about what it takes to be involved. If you have a doctor, you have an issue, you want to follow up, how would you get involved with the Da Vinci product and the robot at HaysMed? We'll be back with more after this.
Youthful body, tight tummy, smooth facial lines. Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery is here to help you achieve your goals and give yourself the new look you've always wanted. Greystone offers sophisticated surgical and non-surgical cosmetic procedures. With services now available locally, there's no need to wait any longer. Contact Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery at Hayes Medical Center today or online at greystonecosmetic.haysmed.com.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications. Our community connected.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum program here on Eagle Communications. We're talking about robotic surgery at HaysMed. Cool conversation. If you have any questions or comments, ideas, follow up, let me know. gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. Also, check us out online. If you're on Facebook, you can find us under ECTV Forum. Click on there and we'll be your friend. Our guest is Dr. Larry Watts, and he's the Chief Medical Officer at HaysMed. We've been talking about robotic surgery, the Vinci process for making that happen. And now we want to talk about you, because there are people watching that may be interested in not only Hays Medical Center, but interested in robotic surgery. Where do they go to find out about that?
Well, probably the first stop would be just they can talk to their doctor. If you're seeing a doctor with a diagnosis that may be helped by surgery, you might ask about robotic surgery, and they can refer to one of our surgeons that does robotics at HaysMed. We have information on our HaysMed website. They can also call the hospital number and ask for the urology clinic, general surgery clinic, or the gynecology clinic.
Well, one of the things I know, we surfed around a little bit on the internet. You go to HaysMed.com, and there's a click through to, you can look at the robotic surgery and find out who the surgeons are, the different practices that are different surgeries that you're offering there. And you can also go to HaysMed. Their phone number is 623-5000. And you mentioned a concierge, because that's something that's been newly developed, because hospitals can be complicated and very busy areas.
Correct.
What does a concierge do?
Well, the idea of the concierge is just like when you go to a hotel. It kind of cuts through the red tape and gets you to the clinic or the doctor that you need to go to. So they can take some general information from you and direct you very quickly to where you need to go.
As we wrap up, where is the robot and the robotic surgery located in the hospital? Because if you drive by the hospital, there's new places everywhere.
Sure.
From the cancer center, it's on the north end of things, to the new administrative side next to the cardiac in that area. Sure. Where is it located? And tell me a little bit about the growth of the hospital, what's taking place.
Sure. Well, it's located in the surgery department. We've left it in basically one room. It's in room 8. It's a big machine, so we don't like to move it around a lot. But that's where it's in the surgery department. Growth-wise, you've already mentioned the improvements in the cancer center. Obviously, we've just opened up new offices for the cardiology department. We've opened up a skilled nursing facility in the hospital as well. We've relocated all the administration on the 4th floor of the Bickle Tower. So there's lots of growth still going on, and lots of building going on the campus.
I had a chance to visit a friend who had a parent there a couple weeks ago, and it's just amazing the changes that are taking place. And you look at some of the new areas in the cardiac center, the ability for a hospital to take care of people really with all types of illnesses and do a great job, and yet still do it right here, because that's one of the advantages to provide actually having service at HaysMed.
Correct. I mean, we couldn't have HaysMed without the support of not only Ellis County, but all of Western Kansas. So we're trying to continue to bring the technology and to build a hospital that basically everybody in Western Kansas can be proud of.
Is it exciting to be a chief medical officer?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I went back to school, and that's why I moved out here.
Well, good to have you here. Thanks for sharing about the robotic surgery. Hope you get a chance to go online. If nothing else, just find out more about what Hays Medical Center is doing. You can go online to HaysMed.com and click on robotic surgery. It's fun to take a look around, see what they're doing. Dr. Watts, thanks for being here.
Sure.
Dr. Larry Watts, Chief Medical Officer at HaysMed, has been our guest on the Forum here on Eagle Community Television. The Forum's brought to you by Hays Medical Center and by Eagle Communication, our community connected.
Youthful body, tight tummy, smooth facial lines. Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery is here to help you achieve your goals and give yourself the new look you've always wanted. Greystone offers sophisticated surgical and non-surgical cosmetic procedures. With services now available locally, there's no need to wait any longer. Contact Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery at Hays Medical Center today or online at greystonecosmetic.haysmed.com.